Welcome to our channel. Today we're taking a trip to the moon, but not just any ordinary trip. We're diving deep into the bizarre science behind its phases. You know, that celestial dance that has captivated humanity for millennia. We're talking about those jaw-dropping moments when the moon seems to change shape right before our eyes. From the eerie glow of the blood moon to the elusive blue moon, we're going to break down the science behind these lunar marvels. So buckle up, space cadets, because we're about to embark on a cosmic journey filled with mind-blowing facts and astronomical wonders that will leave you looking at the night sky with a whole new perspective. Okay, so picture this. The moon, our celestial neighbor, doesn't emit its own light. Instead, it relies on the sun to shine. It's like a giant rocky mirror reflecting the sun's light back at us. This reflection is what makes the moon visible to us here on Earth. Now, as the moon orbits the Earth, the angle at which the sunlight hits its surface changes from our perspective here on Earth. This constant movement creates a fascinating dance of light and shadow. That's what causes the moon to appear as if it's changing shape. These changes are gradual and predictable, forming a cycle. We call these different appearances phases. Each phase has its own unique characteristics and beauty. You've got your new moon, where the moon is between the Earth and the sun, so it's hidden from view. During this phase, the moon is completely dark. Then, as the moon continues its orbit, a sliver of sunlight starts to illuminate it, creating the waxing crescent moon. This is the beginning of the moon's journey to fullness. As the moon keeps moving, more and more of its surface is illuminated, leading to the first quarter moon, where half of it appears lit. This phase is also known as the half moon. The illumination continues to grow, giving us the waxing gibbous moon until finally, BAM! We reach the full moon, where the entire face of the moon is bathed in sunlight. It's a spectacular sight, but the show's not over yet. The moon's journey continues. The cycle continues in reverse, with the illuminated portion shrinking through the waning gibbous third quarter, and eventually the waning crescent phases until we're back to a new moon. This marks the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. This entire cycle from new moon to new moon takes about 29.5 days, which is why we have roughly 1 month. It's a continuous, mesmerizing dance in the sky. Now let's talk about those nights when the moon looks absolutely huge in the sky. I'm talking about the supermoon. You see, the moon's orbit around Earth isn't a perfect circle, it's more of an ellipse, which is like a slightly squashed circle. This means that sometimes the moon is closer to Earth in its orbit and sometimes it's farther away. When a full moon happens to coincide with the moon being at its closest point to Earth, known as perigee, we get a supermoon. And let me tell you, a supermoon is a sight to behold. It can appear up to 14% larger and 30% brighter than a typical full moon. That's like comparing a spotlight to a candle. But here's the thing, supermoons aren't just a feast for the eyes. They also have a slightly stronger gravitational pull on Earth compared to a regular full moon. This amplified gravitational tug can lead to slightly higher tides known as king tides. But don't worry, we're not talking about any catastrophic floods here. The difference in tidal range is usually just a few inches or centimeters higher than normal. Still, it's a reminder that even from hundreds of thousands of miles away, the moon's influence on our planet is undeniable. Have you ever witnessed the moon turn a haunting shade of red? It's not some spooky Halloween trick, it's a real astronomical phenomenon called a blood moon. A blood moon occurs during a total lunar eclipse. Now, a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth positions itself directly between the sun and the moon. Think of it like this. The Earth casts a giant shadow into space, and when the moon passes through that shadow, it creates a lunar eclipse. But here's where it gets interesting. During a total lunar eclipse, the Earth's atmosphere scatters away most of the blue and green wavelengths of sunlight, while the longer wavelengths, like red and orange, get bent or refracted around the Earth and hit the moon's surface. It's like shining a white light through a prism and seeing all the different colors of the rainbow. The Earth's atmosphere acts like that prism, filtering out certain colors and allowing others to pass through. So, as the moon moves fully into the Earth's shadow, it's bathed in this reddish-orange light, giving it that eerie blood-red hue. It's a truly spectacular sight to witness, and it's a reminder of the incredible interplay of light and shadow in our solar system. Blue moon, more like once in a blue moon. Now let's talk about a lunar event that's about as rare as its name suggests. the blue moon. This phenomenon has fascinated skywatchers and astronomers alike for centuries. Despite its name, a blue moon doesn't actually appear blue. The term is more about timing than color. Instead, it refers to the occurrence of two full moons within a single calendar month. This is a rare event due to the way our calendar is structured. You see, our trusty moon takes about 29.5 days to complete its cycle of phases, moving from new moon to full moon and back again, while our calendar months are typically 30 or 31 days long. This slight difference creates the perfect conditions for a blue moon. This slight mismatch means that every now and then we get a bonus full moon squeezed into a single month. It's like an extra treat for moon gazers. And because this extra full moon doesn't fit neatly into our regular lunar calendar, it stands out as a special event. It's often referred to as a blue moon. This term has become a part of our cultural lexicon, symbolizing rarity. But hold on, there's another definition of a blue moon. This one is tied to the seasons rather than the calendar month. Sometimes it can also refer to the third full moon in a season that has 4 full moons instead of the usual 3. This is another way the term blue moon is used, so whether it's 2 full moons in a month or the third in a season with 4, both definitions highlight the rarity of this event. A blue moon is a relatively uncommon occurrence, happening on average every 2 to 3 years. This infrequency adds to its allure and mystique, hence the phrase, once in a blue moon. It's a way to describe something that doesn't happen very often. It's a reminder that sometimes, even in the predictable dance of celestial objects, nature throws us a curveball. These rare events make our universe all the more fascinating. Lunar eclipses, Earth's shadow play. We've already touched upon lunar eclipses when we talked about the blood moon, but let's delve a little deeper into these celestial shadow dances. These events are not just beautiful to observe, but also offer a fascinating glimpse into the mechanics of our solar system. As we know, a lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth positions itself directly between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow onto the lunar surface. This alignment creates a spectacular visual phenomenon that has intrigued humans for centuries. But there are actually 3 types of lunar eclipses: total, partial, and penumbral. Each type offers a unique perspective on how the Earth's shadow interacts with the moon. During a total lunar eclipse, the entire moon passes through the Earth's umbra, which is the darkest part of its shadow. This complete immersion results in a dramatic transformation of the moon's appearance. This is when we get that stunning blood moon effect. The reddish hue is caused by the Earth's atmosphere filtering and refracting sunlight, casting a red glow on the moon. In a partial lunar eclipse, only a portion of the moon enters the Earth's umbra, so it looks like a bite has been taken out of it. This partial shadowing creates a striking visual contrast on the lunar surface. The shadowed portion can range from a small sliver to almost the entire lunar disk. The extent of the shadow depends on the specific alignment of the Earth, Moon, and Sun. And finally, we have the penumbral lunar eclipse, which is the most subtle of the 3. This type of eclipse is often overlooked because the changes in the moon's appearance are so faint. This occurs when the moon passes through the Earth's penumbra, which is the outer, fainter part of its shadow. The effect is a gentle shading that can be difficult to detect without careful observation. During a penumbral eclipse, the moon might appear slightly dimmer than usual, but the change is often so subtle that it's hard to notice without careful observation. This subtle dimming requires a keen eye and often goes unnoticed by casual observers. So, whether it's the dramatic spectacle of a total lunar eclipse or the subtle dimming of a penumbral eclipse, these celestial events remind us of the constant interplay of light and shadow in our solar system. They serve as a beautiful reminder of the intricate dance between celestial bodies and the wonders of the universe. Harvest moon, a boon for farmers. Now let's shift our focus to a specific full moon that holds special significance for farmers and skywatchers alike: the harvest moon. The harvest moon is the full moon that occurs closest to the autumnal equinox, which is the start of fall in the northern hemisphere. What makes the harvest moon so special is its unique timing. Around the time of the autumnal equinox, the moon rises about the same time each night for several nights in a row. This means that instead of the usual 50 minutes or so later that the moon rises each night, the harvest moon seems to rise almost immediately after sunset for several nights in a row. This phenomenon creates a series of brightly lit evenings, which traditionally provided farmers with extra time to harvest their crops before the first frost. Imagine in the days before tractors and combines, farmers relied on moonlight to extend their workday during the crucial harvest season. The harvest moon was a welcome sight, providing them with those precious extra hours to gather their bounty. Even today, the harvest moon holds a special place in our cultural calendar, marking the changing seasons and reminding us of our deep connection to the natural world. Micromoon, the moon's mini-me moment. We've talked about the supermoon, but have you ever heard of its less imposing counterpart, the micromoon? Just like the supermoon is a full moon that occurs when the moon is closest to Earth, the micromoon is a full moon that happens when the moon is at its farthest point from Earth in its orbit, known as apogee. Because it's farther away, a micromoon appears slightly smaller and less bright than a typical full moon. It's like comparing a dime to a nickel. The difference is there, but it's not always easy to spot with the naked eye. Now you might think that a micromoon wouldn't be as exciting as a supermoon, but it's all about perspective. While a supermoon might grab our attention with its sheer size and brilliance, a micromoon offers a subtler kind of beauty. It's a reminder that even in its seemingly diminished state, the moon still holds sway over our tides, our nights, and our imaginations. The moon's influence beyond the tides. We all know that the moon's gravitational pull is what causes the tides to rise and fall. But did you know that the moon's influence extends far beyond our oceans? For centuries, people have believed that the moon affects human behavior. While some dismiss this as mere superstition, there's growing evidence to suggest that the lunar cycle might indeed have subtle effects on our sleep patterns, moods, and even our menstrual cycles. Studies have shown that during a full moon, some people experience a slight decrease in melatonin levels, a hormone that regulates sleep. This can lead to difficulty falling asleep and less restful sleep overall. There's also anecdotal evidence suggesting that the full moon can exacerbate certain mental health conditions, such as anxiety and bipolar disorder. And let's not forget about the moon's connection to fertility and menstruation. The average menstrual cycle is remarkably similar in length to the lunar cycle, and some researchers believe this is more than just a coincidence. While more research is needed to fully understand the complex relationship between the moon and human behavior, one thing is clear: our celestial neighbor's influence extends far beyond the tides, subtly shaping our lives in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. Keep looking up. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about the moon's phases and their unique characteristics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating science content. From supermoons to blood moons, from harvest moons to micromoons, the moon continues to captivate us with its celestial dance and its subtle influence on our planet and our lives. So the next time you gaze up at the night sky, take a moment to appreciate the wonder and mystery of our closest cosmic companion. See you next time.